the day.
Yes, honorary. That's the word. That's the word.
Exactly.
Honorary.
Throw that in there. But no, again, I'm Dion Westbrook, and again, it's always a pleasure to be here with you guys, trying to put information out there to the people, see how we can help people change lives, create wealth, and do what we do. So I'm excited to be
Yes.
here. Looking forward to it.
Yes. So great topic for you all today. I mean, this is a question we've been asked a lot, considering everything is up. Everything is all the way up, as they say. You know, it's like prices are up, rates are up. Everybody's coming and asking, can I still buy a home today? Is the American dream still alive? I had an interesting discussion with a hotel manager. I think I mentioned that last week, and he was telling me that he moved from Texas and works. He manages the whole hotel. Everything, makes a good income, but he says he rents because number one, he doesn't. He used to own in Texas. He moved out here because of the job, and now he can't find it. It's hard for him to see himself buying. So I mean, one of the things that I told him is that you don't know what you don't know, and that's what we're here for. We just came back from the NARAB conference in the convention, the National NARAB Convention in Las Vegas. And NARAB has been around since 1947, right? And they've been on the front lines of advocating for home ownership for the Black community since then, right? So we made a lot of inroads, and because of that, we're a trusted brand when it comes to finding creative ways and also finding the I would say the assistance when it comes to helping marginalized communities be able to become homeowners and get into home ownership. So that's what we want to talk about today. We're going to be talking about, yes, you can still buy a home in today's market. And some of the things that we're going to be touching on, I want you all to chime in because this is something that everybody's on everybody's mind. Is the American dream still alive? Right? That's the question everybody's been asking. Is this American dream that we've been promised? Can we still attain it? Where we can have the home with the picket fence, the dog and the family, you know? Can we still do that? You know what I'm saying?
And how
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah. So and
Can we do it and how to do it?
exactly, and Dion is one of the more creative loan officers that I've worked with. He has a way of actually helping people actually find ways in which to purchase. He's even helped my family members, and currently helping my family members in doing that too. So I mean, his information he has a wealth of information, and we're going to be discussing that today too. So if you have any questions, chime in. And so let's go. So now one of the things is this: is homeownership still worth it in 2026? That's a big question that everybody's asking right now. 2026 is that year where everything is going up, prices up, gas is up, rates. I mean, everybody was expecting rates to come down. It hasn't gone down. How would you approach that? Is homeownership still worth it in 2026?
Well, to me, I mean, home ownership is worth it anytime, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, anytime that you could put a roof over your head and build wealth is a time to purchase a home, in my opinion. You know,
Yeah.
at the end of the day. So to me, I'm always going to tell everybody, yes, you know, if you could afford it, why not do something that's going to build wealth versus paying rent
Absolutely.
on the property that you're building wealth, just not for yourself. You know what I
Right.
mean? So you're going to be building wealth. Why not build it for yourself? That's
Right.
the simplest way to answer that question, right? And so to me, it's definitely worth it, especially with all the other benefits you get, you know, from being a homeowner. So realistically, it's just about educating people and making sure they understand why it makes sense to become a homeowner. I think at the end of the day, most people are going to feel that way. Yeah, you get the people who say, oh, I feel more comfortable renting and stuff like that. But if they understand the
Right.
benefits of homeownership, normally they tend to change their tune. You know, at least be willing to look at it and see what it looks like for sure.
Right. See, one of the things about this is that I think it's still worth it. It's never going to be not worth it. You're never going to talk to one of us and say, "Hey, is homeownership still worth it?" And we tell you no. You know, we're never going to tell you that. One of the things that why we say it's worth it is because when it comes to being the president for KRAB and also being part of the organization National Association of Real Estate Brokers, which is one of the first Black trade organizations that was created. There was once a time where, number one, we didn't have access, right? So, I mean, having access now has created opportunities not only for us to be able to become part of the economic structure and the economic wealth structure, but also pass down generational wealth, right? That's why it's so much worth it. Nobody who's bought a home has ever regretted it 10 years, 20 years later, right? Because if they still own that home today, because I'll give you all an example. In 2020, right, when there was a big rush, people were lined up to buy homes during the pandemic years. 2% rates, people were rushing to buy these homes. Even before that, when it was 4%, right, people were still still a rush. The pandemic and the low rates accentuated that by 100%. So there's lines around the block. People were rushing to buy homes and stuff and paying above prices. And everybody was like, "Why? Why are you doing that?" And that's all you're paying $100,000 above. But right now, people who are bought in that era, 2020, the average equity is around 100,000, right? So think about it. People paid above price, above the average price, and now they've actually made their money back, right, in equity. Yep. Now, right now in the United States, we have the most, statistics show that we have the most free and clear homes right now in the United States. And that tells us something. People are seeing how worth it is. That's why they're holding on to it. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't worth it, anything that's not worth it, what do? Yeah. You give it away, right? Right. So it's worth it. It's always going to be worth it. And I will never ever tell you, but what the main thing we got to understand is that the market hasn't eliminated the opportunity for you to buy a home. It's just changed the rules. That's it. It's just the rules have just changed. We are the ones who need to adjust so that we can help you understand how to navigate those rules, right?
So if somebody need a roof over their head,
right, right.
If you plan on living outside,
right?
It's a great time to buy.
It's three necessities: food, clothing, and shelter. Absolutely. Right. So I mean, you're always going to need a roof. And as Dion said, man, it's out of your rent. When you're renting, a lot of people are worried about the rates. When you're renting, you're paying 100% interest rate. Right, so you're adding wealth to somebody else, and so it does. For me, the interest rates really don't matter right now. I would say they do matter for your affordability, but when it comes to you saying is it worth it, the interest rates, if you're renting right now, it really shouldn't affect. If you can afford it, I would say yes. If you can afford it, yes, it's time to buy. Right. So the other thing that I'm being asked is, are people waiting too long to buy? Right? I mean, a lot of people will say, "Oh, I'm going to hold off. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to wait." The wait. remember when they were like, "Oh, I'm going to wait till the market crashes because my uncle so and so said it's going to crash." Then now because now the pandemic came. Because remember, we had the crash in 2008, 2009, and that's when the crash happened. People were buying all these houses up. Houses were cheap on the market. You could have people buying 2 and 3 houses at a time, and now that phase came and people were like, "Oh, I'm going to wait till it crashes again." I guess this is a cycle. Yeah. Now the pandemic came. Now, if at any time the market should have crashed was during the pandemic. If at any time. If at any time the market should have crashed, the market went crazy, did the opposite, right? So let's think about it, right? So we understand. I'm not saying the market is never going to. I never put out that energy. That say that make that prediction, because that's a false prediction. We don't know what's going to happen. Aliens could come to Earth tomorrow, and everybody, and everybody.
I'll speak on that too. Yeah. Realistically, the government has put a lot of programs and things in place to kind of really make it very hard for us to have a market crash.
Right.
Like they saw what happened, and they figured out what the issues were. They put a lot of things in place to kind of protect that. Not like you said, not saying it won't ever happen again, but the chance of it happening. It's slim. You know what I mean? So anyone's expecting something like that to happen again, I wouldn't bet on it.
Right.
Like you said, we just got back from Vegas. Don't make that bet. Sooner or later, the house is going to end up getting you at all times.
Right. So, right.
It's always best to just, hey, what can I qualify for today? If it makes sense, let's do it. People definitely, you get that about the rates. You get that people. That's how when people say, I want to wait for the rates to come down.
Right.
Like, okay, everybody thought as soon as somebody got in the office, I was going to say somebody.
We ain't going to call names, but.
Oh, man, as soon as they get in the office, all these promises, the rates are going to drop. Oh, they're going to be back to 4%, this and that. Okay, here we go. You're 1 or 2 years later, and they still have not dropped. So everyone. I just tell people, like, nobody has a crystal ball at the end of the day. Right. So again, it always falls back to if you can qualify for something today, get it. Because once you get into property, when people say I want to wait for the rates to come down, guess what? If you can afford a house today,
Right.
you can always refinance.
Exactly.
When the rates do come down, and when the rates come down, that's going to create more competition. When the rates got in the twos, that's the reason why everybody and their mom was trying to put 10, 20, every single house you looked at, they wouldn't even entertain your offer unless you were putting like 20, 30, 40K over asking, right?
Exactly.
You had to start off like that.
Yeah.
There was somebody that in Bay Area bought a house 400K over asking.
Damn.
Crazy. Right? and so you don't want to be the person buying in that market. You want to be the person owning that market. Right. Because even if you don't sell your house, that's going to create equity for your property where you can go do stuff with it, whether it be refinance, pay off debts, put kids to college, buy businesses, whatever the case may be, buy more property. Right. You want to be the person owning in the market where the rates fall down, not buying. I'm still going to tell you to buy it in time, but you're just going to make life a lot harder on yourself if you wait when you don't have to.
Very true.
You know what I mean? So don't wait if you don't have to. You want to be, if you can buy it in this market where the rate's a little bit higher, it's a little less competition, do it.
Right.
And then when the rates come down, you'll be reaping the benefits of that.
Right. To say if you wait, it'll be too late, right? I mean, waiting in this market is not the best thing. If you can, as I said, if you're pre-qualified, you're pre-approved, and you can afford it, start looking for that home.
And you can price yourself out, right? That's the other thing. That's the flip side of it. If you wait until the rates drop super low, if that ever happens again, there's no guarantee. The rates have only gotten to twos, I think, twice in history.
Right.
So if you're waiting for that,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Lightning doesn't strike twice, it's like, hey.
I already struck twice. If you go get the third time, I would not think on ever seeing twos again. You know what I mean? And even when they hit twice, it took like, 10 or 12 years for it to happen the second time.
Exactly.
So it wasn't like
exactly.
It was all right, here we go. This is a new thing that's happening. Now it took many years for it to hit.
Right. And the second one was kind of forced, right? So it's kind of like it wasn't like it was actually regular. It was artificial. It was artificially forced to kind of stimulate the market and stimulate the economy. So that was something that's a fail-safe because of what happened that they had to put in place. But so I mean, we don't see that happening again anytime soon. Right. So the thing about it, and the thing about it is that when those things happen, you have to be ready. You have to be ready to make that move very quickly because you're going to be joining that frenzy of people who have maybe some cash set aside, right? But if you're looking to purchase, leverage a mortgage, you have to be ready, right? So why not just capitalize on the fact that you purchased and now you can actually refinance if the rates go down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? What are the biggest myths keeping people from purchasing a home today? I can say one. I mean, we hear that all the time. Do I have to put 20% down? Yeah. Right? The down payment. The down payment is always going to be, you see, one of the things about even Southern California, the Center for Real Estate did a study, and they showed that it takes them an average of, say, 10 to 15 years for somebody to come up with a 20% to save up 20% down on a home based upon the income, because right now they always look at what do you call it, the cost of housing has to be around, they say the average should be around 30%, right? Yeah. Cost of housing in terms of rent and mortgage. In California, it's a little bit higher. It's close to like 60%, almost double, right? When we see that, that's something that now you'll find that that people have to come up with it shows that people are paying a lot more for housing. That means they have to come up with a little bit more money. They have to make a little bit more. The average house in Southern California is close to like $925, close to $1 million. So think about it. A first-time home buyer is buying a house for $1 million, right?
You're gonna scare everybody else.
Right. No, I know. That's the thing. This is this fact. But at the same time, too, it's kind of like this is where, number one, it's being done, right? And that's the thing. It's a challenge right now to do it, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Yes, it's a challenge. But that's what we're here for. We'll coach you through that challenge because we are getting it done, right? We're seeing that's where we gotta be creative because that 20% down is available in terms of some grants. Every bank right now, certain grants, they might not be added up to 20%, but it's also part of the negotiation. Yeah. Where we can actually go ask the seller There's certain programs, and we'll get to that too when we talk about some of the programs that are available out there for you to actually be able to purchase in this market. But negotiation is part of that, asking the seller for some incentives or concessions to actually help you purchase that home for closing costs, or even coming in, going in at a program where there's all these different programs where if you're purchasing a certain census tracts, or if you're in a certain area where the AMI is below average, you can actually still be able to get at least less than 20% down, right? And I know Dion will go into that a little bit more. What is some of the biggest myths that some people are keeping people from purchasing a home today?
Well, yeah, I mean, just to kind of piggyback off what you just said, that's definitely one of the bigger ones. I don't have enough money saved up to,
Right.
to cover down payment. And as you said, there are a lot of different programs.
Yeah.
There was even one recently we can get up to 30%.
Yeah.
Go towards down payment. Not only will that, it will go towards down payment and closing costs. So
Right.
you have the Dream for All program.
Right.
That's a California program.
Right.
Where you can get up to 20% that can go towards down payment and closing costs. So there's all kind of different programs, whether it be 20%, 30%, 3.5%, 3%. Like there's all kind of different things where you can get your full down payment covered, and then you have some programs where you can also get assistance toward closing costs as well. Right, and there's so many of them. Like I have access to a lot of different ones. There's other loan officers that have access to different ones. Even if you live in, the Urban League. I got my guy Jesse on here talking about the Urban League. So there's different places and outlets you can go to learn about them.
Right.
At the end of the day as well too. So you have places like Urban League, was it NID or whatever?
NID,
Yeah,
yes.
NID,
HUD.
Organizations, HUD,
Yeah.
NARAP, right?
NARAP, yeah.
Anything, NAREP, any ARIA, all these different
Right.
organizations, VAREP, VAREP, all these different, if you're a veteran, stuff like that, all
Right.
these different organizations that you can go to get information to understand what it takes to become a homeowner at the end of the day. So when it comes to worrying about if you have funds for a down payment, I tell people, hey, don't ever assume you're not going to be able to buy a house. First
Right.
and foremost, you know what I mean? Ask the question. Find
Exactly.
out. Go find anyone that you can connect with that can give you the actual information, not your cousin, your auntie, your uncle who bought a house 20 years ago.
Right.
I swear he knows how everything works.
Like
right?
Grandpappy.
My cousin bought a house 20 years ago. He told me that you had to have 30% down.
No,
and
we still
800
hear
FICO
that.
score.
Those are things that we
I hear it
still
all the
hear
time,
out
man.
there.
I heard it 2 days ago. I heard it. My cousin told me, I said, hey, don't even finish that. I don't hear nothing doesn't say. I was like, whatever he's talking about, if he's not an industry professional,
Right.
No, I just can't. I didn't shut him down. I let him say what they had to say, but you know what I mean. I listened to him and just kind of explained to him, the actual truth about how things actually work, and that's what we got to do, right? We're gonna let people say what they got to say, but then educate them. That's what it's about. So that's definitely a big myth. FICO score, and people thinking they have to have a 700 plus FICO score in order to buy a house. Definitely don't have to. There's programs you can buy a house in the 500s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And if you hear someone who's had a score in the 500s, and let's say you don't, there's a couple of circumstances that have to be in place. You didn't have any lates or anything in the last year or so. You have good work history. You have reserves. You got money
Right.
saved up, things like that. Job history as well. Well, I said work history, yeah, but different things like that that we can look at. How much you're putting down. All these different things might play a factor in you being able to qualify with a much
Right.
lower than 700 FICO score. Like I said, you can absolutely get. I have down payment assistance programs you can get in with FICO scores in 500. So there's a lot of different things out there. Again, always falls back to like that they're the biggest enemies, right? They start telling themselves what they can't do
Right.
without having a professional actually show them. And even then, if you're working with a good professional, at the end of the day, if you can't qualify today, they should be explaining what you need to do to where you can qualify tomorrow.
Right.
Like I tell all my clients, hey, I'm not gonna tell you, that I ain't gonna say that you can't buy a house today, but I'm gonna tell you what you need to do so we can get you there tomorrow. Right?
Nice.
Never know. It's here's what we gotta do to get you there tomorrow.
Exactly.
And I feel like loan officers that do that just shut people down and don't even teach them anything.
Right.
Don't explain to them what they do or their credit or how to budget and all these different things that we need to do. We got to educate people. You know what I mean? And we got to make sure they understand what they need to do if they're not there today. This is what we got to do to get there tomorrow. So those are definitely like the two of the biggest ones you get is the funds and then, and then not be able to afford it. People always say they can't afford a house. I'm like, hey, it's not necessarily about what you can afford. It's that
Right.
you can find a house in the range that you can afford. You know what I mean? So, whatever payment you feel comfortable with, what I always do is kind of show people here. Here's the max you can qualify for.
Right.
A lot of times people don't want to pay anywhere near the max they can actually truly qualify.
Pretty
for,
much, yeah,
right?
that is very true.
So the next question we ask is, all right, cool. So what monthly payment do you feel like, hey, if you found your dream home, what is the max amount
Right.
that you want to pay per month? With everything included, principal, interest, tax and insurance, HOA,
Right.
solar, whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
What's the most amount you want to pay? And
Right.
here's the purchase price that goes along with that.
Right.
Now, can we go see if there's a house that fits in that budget? It
Right.
doesn't mean you have to push yourself even to that max. It's just, hey, you say you don't want to go above this, so here's a purchase price. This is your
Right.
starting point for now. You still can go over here if you really want to. You don't want to go above this no matter
Right.
what.
Right.
And if you can find some lower than that, that's great, right?
Yeah.
Your goal is to get your biggest bang for your buck at the end
Exactly.
of the day. So you want to
Exactly.
push yourself to your limits if you don't have to.
Right.
And so don't ever just assume you can't qualify. Let us educate you.
Exactly.
A lot of times, how are you going to know what kind of purchase price you're going to get if you're not in our industry? You don't know
What you
kind of
qualify
purchase
for,
price
yeah.
will go with monthly payment, right?
What's
You
your
don't have that
limit?
knowledge unless
Yeah.
somebody teaches you, right? So you
Right.
got to let somebody teach you
Yeah.
so you can know if you truly can qualify or not,
Absolutely.
right? And then we talk about, from that point, all right, do you have someone else you can buy with, right? And then we start
Right.
getting into
Now
these
that
heavy
that's
conversations.
something that I think a
Right.
lot we should definitely expound on is
Yeah.
how buying with someone, right?
Yeah.
We're not saying go find a stranger to buy a home with, but it's always like right now I think there was I have a client who told me that her landlord approached her about purchasing the home that she lives in. And she was like, and I'm like, you know what? That's rarely ever heard of. That's rarely ever heard of, especially in San Diego, California, right? You got to go after your landlord to purchase it. But her landlord actually approached her, and these are some of the things that the creative ways, because now it's kind of like now she's looking for now the negotiation part starts.
Yeah.
Right, you get the mortgage. Now you actually try to figure out how you can, because now it's a direct to, it's like customer, it's not a client to client, seller to buyer direct, and I'm just facilitating it. Now you can actually negotiate a little bit more because now the cost, they cut the cost down. And the reason why I mentioned that when you mentioned being creative and finding people, partnering with people to purchase, is that she and her daughter is now coming together to purchase the home, right? I mean, you've helped my family where it was 3 generations, three generations on buying on one house, and that's and the thing about it is that you have one when we talk about 3 generations, we're talking about the millennial generation, right? Too, millennial and also because my niece had just graduated college. Was she, her mother, and her grandparents, and all 3 of them came together, and they were able to purchase the home together, right? So it's kind of like those are the things, because my niece is now a homeowner of a beautiful, 2,500 or 3,000 square foot home, right? So it's something where that's how generational wealth is created. You don't have to wait until that person, until you go to pass it down. You can do that right now. Right, I mean, there's creative ways that we can create a mortgage program, put everybody together to be able to purchase auntie's home, to put the place that they rent, grandma's home, before anything happens and it goes into a will or trust or probate, right? So those are the things.
With that too as well is people got to understand, unfortunately in our community, we talk about this a lot. We have a lot of pride where people are like, oh no, I don't want to.
Right, I don't trust them.
I'm like, look, you living with your brother and sister,
right?
18 years, right? And at this damn time now it's about 20, 25. Kids stay at home, right? So so now all of a sudden you can live with your brother and sister in the same house, same bedroom in some situations for all these years. But when you become an adult and you can live with each other, it don't even have to be for a long period of time. It could be a couple of years, and you guys can buy a house together, save up money, splitting the rent. Now you have money to put down on another property. You can start building wealth and property. Everybody can have their own properties.
Exactly.
3 to 5 years if you do it the right way.
Yeah.
And everybody's on the same page and we want to work with each other. So it's like we got to get that pride out of our system.
Sure.
And ultimately, even then, if you're buying a property together, nobody said you have to buy a single family house where you guys got to be in each other's face all day.
Right.
You can go buy a 2, 3, 4 unit.
Because that's how they're building them now, multi-gens,
right?
So.
So there's different type of properties that you can buy where you guys have your own privacy, but you help each other build wealth, right? And a lot of times, I'm hearing a lot now, people are wanting to buy compounds. They want to have their
Yeah.
family surrounding them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, cool. There's a way to do that. You guys just got to talk to the right people that can give you education, teach you how to do it.
Right.
But it's definitely possible, and it's because you're saying it's 900,000 to buy something. You know, a lot of the regular single family homes out here in San Diego, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We gonna need 2, 3, 4, 5 people probably in a lot of situations, right? You know what I
Right.
mean? All right, cool. Let's go buy us a 2 or 3 or
Right.
4 unit. It might be $1 million. It might be 1.2, 1.3, but we got
Right.
3 or 4 incomes that are coming in on
Exactly.
that, and now it's
Exactly.
affordable for us, right?
Right.
And so having the education, understand how to make this work, and how saying, hey, I could spend 1,500 and live in a $1.2 million house if I got 2 or 3 other people that's willing to go in and do that same thing
Right.
with me. That's gonna be less than my rent on a
Exactly.
little 1 bedroom or studio out here,
Right. And the situation's
So we
gonna be
gotta
way
start thinking
different
like that.
too. You know.
Exactly,
Yeah, you,
right?
you live with people you know.
Yeah, right. Exactly, right. So
Right.
you know, we just got to start thinking like that
Yeah.
as a community at the end of the day, and I think
Yeah.
we're going to definitely start seeing us bridge that gap with wealth. for sure.
Absolutely, man. Because I mean, at the same time too, is like we have to start encouraging that, especially if we want to bridge that, as he said, the wealth gap. You know, because you gotta be creative. You gotta be creative right now, especially with the different generations and stuff. Even with trying to purchase as I said, the rental that you actually paying. You never know. Ask the homeowner. You know, about it. You know, you never know what can come back. The worst they can tell you is no. You know, but you never know what can come out of that. Yeah, so we're moving on. Understanding today's market, right?
Yeah.
The thing that people have been asking, especially right now, is they want to know, why is it so high? Why are prices so high? Like, what is going on with homes? Because that's a big push right now, even in this year, which is the midterm elections coming up. Right, they're trying to put a couple of things on the ballot to bring the prices of homes down. Especially just seeing that right now, there's a whole generation that's not being able to even come out of college, working 2 or 3 jobs and making good money. Because the city average person have to make close to $250,000 for them to be able to purchase a home comfortably on their own. Right. When you look at that, it's kind of like, yeah, it almost feels, it's unattainable, right? But what we're seeing is that it's just the prices are now going up and becoming outreach, which is good for the homeowner, right? And which will be good for you because we haven't seen the prices going down since 2008, right? And even during 2008, they were still going up, right? So what we're seeing is good for real estate is a good investment, right? So why are the prices still high? And some of the things that I've heard, and I'll address them, is the housing shortage. Yes, there's a big housing shortage. Inventory. You know what I mean? There's a low inventory, and there's low existing inventory, which is homes that have actually existing already, and then there's low new inventory, right? One of the things I'll say is that there's a lot of laws, and one thing about working, being part of NARAB is that we have to have our ear to the ground when it comes to legislation. And there was a law that was shut down called Measure A. Well, not a law, but a bill that was shut down called Measure A. That was going to increase the taxes for vacant homes in San Diego. Now, that would have caused the prices of homes to go up. Now, they say it would have pushed more inventory in the market and forced investors to sell. Yeah. Right? But at the same time, too, most of these laws are blanket policies. So it was shut down by the real estate community. And that actually did make people understand, hey, there is a push and there is a concern of how prices are actually, the high price of homes, especially in Southern California. And how can people afford homes? Now, one of the things is, yes, housing shortage, low inventory. There's a lot of things that are causing it. I would say one, and this is very unique, we've already heard about how expensive it is to build homes, and people are not selling because they don't know where they're going to move and how they can even afford to move if they sell their home. And then the tax basis, whether they're going to get hit with a big capital gains tax, so they rather just help the newer generation purchase homes by refinancing and helping them purchase homes. But they're holding on to those homes, right? One of the things that I've seen is, number one, is, as I mentioned earlier, is that right now in the United States there is a bottleneck where the existing home market is what kind of props up the real estate market a lot. And you'll find that with those existing homes, people are now free and clear. So that means people own their home. They're not paying a mortgage other than every year to pay taxes. That's about it.
Yeah.
and they pay the utilities to maintain the home,
Yep.
right? So people are not willing to actually give that up that easily,
Yeah.
right? You find too that people are living a little bit longer too, right? Technology and medicine and health has actually you find that the average person is living a little bit longer. So you find that there's a bottleneck of existing homes that are on the market that are not coming on, that used to come on the market, that are not coming on the market right now. That has created a lot of right now legislators are taking a look at how can we help people feel comfortable, especially when they want to downsize at that age, to actually do that and have
Right.
that incentive through tax breaks or capital gains tax breaks. And they're taking a hard look at that right now, even from a federal level to the state level and then to the local level. They're starting to look at those things right now in terms of how can we free up that inventory, because
Yeah.
that is kind of with a shortage of homes. It's just like demand supply. Prices will go up if demand is high and supply is low. It pushes the price curve, the demand curve up. So I mean, it's going to push prices up,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things that are actually affecting um, prices.
Yeah, I
Pop-
would say
go
too,
ahead.
to kind of add to that is part of the reason why you're not seeing a lot of houses being built, the cost
Right,
of what it takes
Right.
to build the properties right now.
Right.
The cost of wood and all that stuff is skyrocketing through the roof,
Right.
right? And so now these builders are like, hey, we're not getting as big of a return investment as we were getting before, right?
Right.
So it is not easy for them to build properties at a cheaper price, right? So
Absolutely.
those are all things that are keeping the prices up at the end of the day. Then, like you were saying, people hold on to their properties. A lot of when the market went crazy during COVID and rates got in the twos, a lot of people bought or refinance.
Right.
You got a lot of people sitting in the rates in the low twos. They're like, listen, I'm not doing it.
right.
Why would I sell my house at 2% or refinance?
Right.
Sell my house, right? When
Yeah,
I'm at
why?
2.25
What's the
or
incentive?
3%,
You know what I'm saying?
whatever, right? And I'm gonna go and buy a house in this market
Right.
where the rates might
It's
be
like
five, sixes.
You live
at the end of the day.
you live in a 2,500 square
Yeah.
foot home and you
Yeah.
want to downsize to 200, like 800 square foot home. You're gonna be paying the same price because of the
Yeah,
tax.
exactly.
I mean, because of the interest rate.
So you got a lot less people selling, a lot less builders building because just simply the cost to build,
Right.
Or the location to be able to build. That's another thing, right? Like, are you going to be able to build in a place that's desirable, right?
Right.
It's always location. Nobody's trying to move to, no disrespect for like Cathedral City, you know what I mean? Like, or somewhere it's like 200 degrees all day, every day, right? Super hot outside, like, that's a reason why California is so expensive. You get what you pay for, right? Like, you're paying for, the place that we live in. You're paying for the weather. You're paying for, all these different things that come along with being in California, right? So, those are some of the biggest things, obviously, your housing shortage, but realistically, just the cost of build is becoming a problem. Is the reason why we're not getting enough properties built to where we can start lowering these prices. So until they start fixing all that stuff, they can say whatever they want, but you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
they're not gonna show these builders how they can get more return on investment.
Right.
Building properties like that, right?
Right.
So they start lowering the prices and all that stuff instead of taxing us. You know
Right.
what I mean? All right, make these costs go back down so they can start building more.
Right.
And then let's see how that goes. So,
Yeah.
some of the big things.
And some of the even on a deeper level, you'll find that a lot of the things that keep builders from building is the entitlements, right? So you realize that zoning is something that I say was good for, how to put it, the environment. The environment benefited when zoning came in. Just keep in mind, the zoning was enhanced through the CEQA, which is the environmental impact study. Because number one, it was done to actually not have a school near to a factory and to actually put in incentives to actually stop improve the air quality, basically. So, for example, back in the 1980s, LA used to be known for that big cloud above it. That wasn't clouds. That was actually smoke, right? LA used to be known for that. You couldn't see the skyline of LA in the 1980s. But now, if you go to LA, you see the skyline from. You don't see that cloud of smoke over LA, and that's what zoning did. That's what all these entitlements did. That's what even the Coastal Commission, when it came in, those are the things that improved the air quality in metropolitan areas that have high density, right? It did good for that, But what it did, it also created a barrier to entry for developers, right? Because now developers didn't have the freedoms they had to build. So now you had, like, before then, I think they were producing like over 250,000 homes in California a month. We haven't hit that since 1960,
Jeez.
right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's something where you're realizing that the downgrade we downgraded building homes because, number one, to improve the quality of air and improve the environment, right? But at the same time too, we have to play a balancing act because all these things are now creating barriers and it's also increasing the price. So, for instance, when you pay a Melrose when you're purchasing a home, that's because the cost of actually developing the land is being passed on to you through government incentives, right? So the government is incentivizing that developer by giving them through maybe a tax credit in their funding for that development, but that cost now is passed on to the consumer through Melrose, right? So you pay a Melrose like a tax that's attached to your property taxes, right? So those are things that are now making homes a little bit more high, prices higher for you to purchase a home because is when I see Melrose, when people are paying HOAs and Melrose combined is close to $1,000, right? That's added on to their monthly mortgage, which is not bad because the home is like 400,000. It's incentivized, but it's still got to pay that Melrose and that HOA. So these are things that are causing the prices of home to go up, to be high. One of the questions that people have asked is, why haven't the market crashed? Why haven't prices crashed yet? Is waiting likely to make homes cheaper? And what happens if the rates drop?
Yeah, we already covered that.
Yeah, we already covered that. You know what I'm saying? We covered that. The market is not going to crash, y'all. And if it does, you got to be ready. And is waiting likely to make homes cheaper? No. I don't believe in, if the thing about it, homes are not coming down. We know that. Nothing might be coming down anytime soon because we all know that price is up, right? You got to, if you're qualified and you're pre-approved, this is where you should buy. And what happens if rates drop? If rates drop and you purchase, you can refinance.
Absolutely.
Right? You're not going to be part of that frenzy. You're paying $10,000, $100,000 above asking to get in the door, right? So if the rates decline significantly, more buyers enter the market, competition increases, multiple offers return, prices often rise. As this saying goes, and I don't want to use it too much because that was a cliche term. You marry that house, you date the rate.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use it anymore. I wouldn't use it like that anymore. As a realtor, we kind of learned that, don't use that too much. But at the same time, too, it's kind of like the same concept, right? We're not saying that you have to stay. The rates are. What that means is basically, the rates are very flexible. That's one of the most very variable things that you can actually adjust. Right, it's like your variable costs in your business. You can adjust that. If the rates come down, you can adjust to the rates too. You can refinance. If the rates go up, you can stay where you're at. Right.
Most clients don't even remember their rates after 6 months. It's like a fact.
Right.
I had a client today. He was like, "Yeah, man, I'm thinking about refunding." He's like, "I know I did a 5.25% when I did my loan last year." I said, I don't think you did.
And trust me,
I looked at it, he was at like 5.65, which wasn't bad for that time, but I was like, nah, it wasn't that low. But people, they
and the
forget,
manage,
right? So that's why I tell people the payment is what's the most important thing. As long as that payment makes sense for you, do what you do, get you a house.
And the lender will be calling you. The lender will be calling you if the rates drop. I mean, there's alerts. Monitoring it.
When it makes sense for you to do a refinance.
Yeah.
I do. I can't speak for everybody, but we do have ways of monitoring and knowing when's a good time to call back a client because it might make sense for them to refinance or, based on equity they have, the interest rates, whatever the case may be, and kind of go from there.
Okay, so we kind of touched on this. Can you actually afford to buy? What income do you really need? What credit score is required? And how much money do you actually need for a down payment, right?
I'm gonna go over a couple things with this.
Yeah, absolutely, because this is your lane right here.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of different creative ways people can buy, right? So even for people with like lower incomes, the days where I say this, a lot of people are looking at like manufactured homes, right? So this is programs that's out there that was really hard to find. Now we have access to. So even the people who are looking at manufactured homes on lease land and stuff like that. So those used to be really hard to find financing for. There's financing for that now. We have opportunities to now actually look at those properties and be able to see if you can obtain them. You might only have to put as little as 5% down. You don't even have to have a great FICO score like 640, 660, something like that. Only 5% down, you could potentially buy those properties, right? So those are new programs that you could take advantage of. Even if you are a non-first-time homebuyer, there's programs that we have that you can take advantage of. Even as a non-first-time homebuyer, get down payment assistance, up to 5%. That can go towards down payment and closing costs. FICO score 580. 580. Remember I said you have programs where you can qualify for assistance and 500s. Your debt to income ratios are really good as well. So they go off regular FHA debt to income ratio. So 46.99 front end, 56.99 back end, which is way better than most down payment assistance programs out there, period, right? Most down payment assistance, you're going to be capped at like 45%. Unless you have a 700, 720 FICO, maybe you go up to 50% debt to income ratios, if you understand what that means. But this down payment assistance, you can go up to 56.99, so that's a lot more purchasing power, and it just gives you opportunity to get assistance, after already utilizing your first-time homebuyer program, right? So there's a lot of creative programs like that. Obviously, you have your VA loans where it's 100% financing, but there's even down payment assistance programs for veterans as well, where you can get 2% towards closing costs. Even the one I was telling you, like in San Diego, we have programs where you can get the 17 to up to 30% that can go towards down payment and closing costs, even as a veteran. So you could utilize that, cover all your closing costs, and put more money towards the down payment to get the payments where you feel comfortable with. Right. And so there's a lot of different programs that are out there. I just tell people all the time, do not assume what you can't buy. If you're someone who's self-employed, that's a lot of creative programs. If you're someone who's self-employed and you got at least 15% down, then you could potentially buy a house without even have to show your income. So you got all these self-employed people that write off a lot of income. There's one of my favorite programs called DSCR program. Qualify off the rents only. So looking at the house you're trying to purchase, if the rent is good enough to cover whatever your anticipated mortgage payment is going to be, then you can buy the house. And there's even some programs where if you put down 25%, they don't care what the rent is, you can buy the house. As long as you have the credit score requirement, so you need 25% down, and whatever that credit score requirement is for that program, you can buy that house. You know what I mean? And so those are some very creative programs for people who are self-employed, or even just people who just write off a lot of income. Right. Even someone who maybe don't have a lot of income, right? You just don't have a lot of income, but you got money. Maybe you're a trust fund baby. You got a lot of money, right? You got an inheritance. You want to buy a property. We could look at doing these type of programs for you. So I tell people it's a loan for that. Whatever your situation is, probably a loan for that. Or we're gonna get you where you need to be so you can take advantage of a loan.
And something that you told me that I think a lot of people don't know is that is the difference between a W-2 and hourly wage and a salary. Right, because it does make a little bit of a difference when you're actually trying, and that's something that a lot of people can get, but a lot of them don't opt for it. Because they think that, I'm working the overtime and stuff. But when you're preparing to buy a home, you want to adjust some things if you can. Right, not all employees are going to be favorable to it, but if you can,
I can explain that a little bit.
Go ahead.
So the difference between salaried income and W-2, especially more so when you're about to buy a house, when you're salaried, we can go right off your salary income. Like you don't even have to start, like say for instance, if you're about to start a job, once you get an offer letter, a signed offer letter, I should say, then we could actually start the process of looking to purchase a home. At the end of the day. So, and when you're salaried, you can do that whether it's salary or hourly at the end of the day, but when it's salary, we just go right off of that offer letter. That's the income that we can use. If you're someone that's hourly, depending on your situation, we may have to go back and average your income for the last 2 years. So you could have went from a job where you're making, 50 to 100, and we may not be able to give you a 400K depending on the situation because you're hourly. Whereas if you're salary at 100K, we're going off 100K.
And somebody comes and says, "Hey, well, I make all this overtime." How do you respond to that? Like when they say, "I don't want to go salary because you know what, I make all this overtime," and shouldn't that count?
Yeah, no, I mean, it really just depends, right? Like, okay, how much are you making salary versus how much you're making with overtime, right? Like, are you going to make more with the salary than what you're making having to work more than 8 hours a day? Right? Like, which one makes more sense for you? So either one of them is fine. It just really depends on the situation, right? What's going to work for you and what you're trying to do. So salary just makes it a lot easier when qualifying nothing wrong with hourly. It's just if your salary, it's just a lot easier to qualify
Yeah.
because we can go right off whatever your salary is, and you can get bonus income, and even believe it or not, some salary people can actually potentially get overtime too sometimes, depending on
Right.
the situation. So it really depends on the type of job or where you're working at
Yeah.
the end of the day. So
Yeah.
they,
And
all
some-
have, they have their perks.
And some of the loan programs that are good for first-time home buyers or give you favorable rates too and favorable options is they have the FHA loan, which is 3.5% down, VA loan, USDA loan, down payment assistance programs. Ask about that. I mean, we would tell you about it, but ask if your lender is not showing you as a first-time home buyer that there's down payment assistance programs out there. You should be actually being
Any buyer.
Yeah, you should. That's any
Now you
buyer.
can get a down payment
Yeah,
assistance first and
yeah.
first time home
So, and that's the thing, and that's something that's a red flag for me. It's like when I ask some people, oh, don't you know there's down payment assistance programs now? And they're like, no, I didn't know that. I wasn't told that, but they're already looking for a home. I'm like, that is something you should approach your lender about. Ask them about the down payment assistance programs out there. And closing cost assistance, that is some of the programs that also offer closing cost assistance. We can even negotiate closing costs as concessions with the seller also.
And
So,
I'll say, real quick, let me say this too. So in regards to the down payment assistance, so a lot of people don't realize that when you look at down payment assistance programs, lenders don't make money on those programs. So I'm being very transparent with people right now. So lenders don't make money on those programs. They actually probably lose money 9 times out of 10 when they do that. So that's why you've never
Selling the
seen
secrets,
that,
man.
Right? You've never seen a down payment assistance program or a commercial on TV
Right.
ever, right?
That's
They never
true.
run a broadcast. They do that, right?
That's true.
So that's why it's good to know who you're working with. You know what I mean? Some companies they frown upon, whereas you want to find somebody who works at a company, especially if they're like minority owned and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We need those programs more than everybody else at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
right? So those type of companies will do these programs more. Again, they still may not broadcast it like everybody else, right? But they are open to doing them. They're not going to be frowned upon. They're going to welcome them and allow the loan
Right.
officers to offer them to people. Because at the end of the day, we know that if we do want to take care of you, we use the down payment system to get you into a house. Hopefully you come back when the rate, if they do drop, right, to where
Right.
you're going to refinance or you do any kind of finance, you come back and do a regular loan with us. And then the companies can, make some money that way down
Yeah.
the line. But we did it by taking care of you up front, so hopefully you'll come back to us
Right.
and do your next loan with us. And then at the end of the day, it all works itself out.
And that's what a relationship is about.
Exactly.
Building up
Exactly.
building the trust in a relationship is all about. I'm going to do a quick rapid fire some of the ways in which buyers can lower their monthly payment, because these are some of the creative ways that are being used right now for that we're helping clients actually be to lower their monthly payments when it comes to their mortgage and their buying a home. Seller paid rate buy downs. The seller, we can negotiate with the seller to have them pay for pay for your rate to be brought down, right? So they will give you incentives. We can put that in the contract, and we can say we're going to apply to the rate to buy the rate down, right? And that's one of the things. Temporary 2-1 buy downs. Hit on that a little bit.
Oh, okay.
You the one with the
I thought
2-1
you
buy
were
downs,
talking
man. The 2-1 buy downs.
2-1
This
buy
is
downs
rapid
is cool.
fire. Rapid fire. Come on.
No, he was going through it. All right, so a 2-1 buy down is a great program where actually the sellers, actually even lenders can do it. Just so you know, lenders can help cover the cost for you to lower your monthly payments for the first. Actually, there's even programs called 3-2-1 buy down. So
Yeah.
it could be 3 years, 2 years, first year. We put up the cost to help lower your payments for those duration of those first years, and then after that time period up, whether it's a 2-year, 3-year, whatever it is, you'll start making what your required payment should have been day one.
Right.
So it's a great way for someone who, like, say for instance, if you were, all right, man, these payments are a little bit higher than what I want, but I know I'm
Right.
gonna get a raise in this year, and the raise next
Right.
year, I got another source of income that's gonna come
Right.
in, or maybe I have my car paid off, I have some debts paid off in the
Right.
next 2 or 3 years, then everything will be more affordable. So this is a cool way, and plus you as the buyer don't have to pay it. Somebody
Right.
else is gonna be paying a percentage of your payment for the
Right.
first couple of years. That's going to help it make it more affordable for you. So that's a great program if you can get someone that can put up.
So if you like leveling up every year or every so often, this is a great program.
It's a
Negotiating.
fixed loan. So people are like, oh, I don't want to do adjustable loan. It's a 30-year fixed loan. It's not adjustable program.
Right.
It's just
Yeah,
creative
exactly.
way
Make
to
that
set it
clear.
up. Yeah, people, oh, that's adjustable.
Yeah, no, it's not the adjustable. None of those funny loans. That's it. Negotiating closing costs. That's something, yes. Closing costs, we can negotiate that in the contract and when it's closing. That's something that helps with actually putting towards your down payment. You can put it towards your closing costs. You can put it towards even some repairs in the home.
Let me say something real quick.
Go
With
ahead.
that. So nothing with that too. Like a lot of times, veterans don't realize that you can actually negotiate to get some of your debts paid off.
Right.
The sellers can actually pay some of your debts through a purchase transaction that can help you qualify to buy their house.
Nice.
And so that's more creative ways. A lot of times people have no idea these type of things are available.
Right.
As well. So I try to teach people about that stuff as well.
Purchasing a condos. I want to encourage people to purchase. This is a step up thing right now. You have to look at buying a home as an investment. You don't go for the blue chip stocks when you're buying stocks. It's called like fractional investing, but this is kind of like fractional investing, where you buy small and then you wait till it increases in value and then you move up, you step up. Right now, we might be helping a client just like that. Right now, she bought a small condo in Hemet, and now got an opportunity to move, and now she might be buying something, selling to buy something in where she's moving for the job. So these are things that people are buying. Don't frown on condos. Purchase a condo. Townhomes are good too. If you can't afford that big home like in San Diego, townhomes are great opportunities for you to step into home ownership. ADU properties are big right now. You can have up to 3 ADUs on one property. And we're not talking about separated. It could be the garage, or it could be the inside of the home. Once you have this space, you can build ADUs, and that can help you generate income if you want to rent it out or have a multi-generational home where multi-generations can live. Multi-family homes, we talked about that. People are now, there's a new trend for pushing for compounds where people want to live together, families want to live together one home in one lot. House hacking. If you don't know what that is you purchase a home and you rent the rooms out, right? So if it's a 4-bedroom, 3 bedrooms, you're renting the 2 rooms out. That's a way to generate income and have the mortgage pay for have the rents pay the mortgage. Buying with family. We talk about that, multi-generational, definitely. That's a way that people are now getting into homes. That's one of the most creative ways I can tell you, because you're actually living with people that you know. It's better you do that now, and then later on, you can maybe separate and actually purchase your own home once there's equity and the house goes up in value. And co-buying. This is a way that most investors do it. Partnerships, even strategic partnerships out there for you to purchase homes with. Now there's one of the things that somebody showed me the other day was a self-directed IRA, and we can go deep into that. Where if you have an IRA or a 401k, you can roll into a self-directed IRA, and the self-directed IRA can now purchase the home instead of you buying the home with your funds, right? So you can use your retirement. What that does, it allows you to actually you become the bank, right? So no longer do you have to go to the bank, but that's one of the incentives that are out there. If you have a retirement, if you have a 401k or an IRA out there, you can change it to the self-directed IRA and have the self-directed IRA purchase the home under the self-directed IRA's name. If you want more information, let us know. You can reach me at 619-384-9269. We are 702. Dion, let the people know where they can reach you.
You can reach me at 858-382-0856, my IG, anything like that. And one last thing I'll say, too, is when it comes to buying a house, if you're looking at multi-units, you can use rents to help you qualify to buy a house.
Right.
So if you're not buying with family members, if we know what the rents are on those particular properties, we can use those to help you on top of your income.
Right.
And then now you can buy a multi-family house and then rent it out, and that can help you subsidize your payment, make it more affordable for you. But now you're creating wealth by getting more investment properties, even with your first-time home buying process. So things like that are things that we can do to get creative for people. So I'm here for you guys. If you guys have any questions, always
Awesome.
Let's do it.
Awesome. All right, yo. Well, have a good one. I'll see you on the next show. Peace.
Thank y'all for watching. Appreciate y'all. Hit me up if y'all got any questions. You know the IG. Tag me. Hit me up. Any comments, I got you guys. I answer them. Talk to y'all later.